The Nikki Glaser Podcast. The Nikki Glaser Podcast.
Here I am. It's Nikki Glaser. It's the Nikki Glaser Podcast. Welcome to the show. Brian's back.
That's right. He's back.
He doesn't have a gallbladder anymore, but it's Brian Frangie.
Great way to lose weight.
Chris Convy is also in studio with me in St. Louis. Welcome to the show. Brian, welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, I lost exactly 2 ounces by removing that gallbladder.
2 ounces?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah, 2 ounces. I don't know
How big is it?
I don't know. It's not big. It's like the size of honestly, like the size of a condom.
Whoa.
That's like the best thing I could think of. It's kind of like
Yeah,
looks
what
like
else
that.
is that
But
size?
those are all different sizes.
That's a good point. Yeah,
it's
what
the
kind?
size of a shirt or a shoe or a hat.
Yeah, what other things are condom size? I guess like a lollipop wrapper that you get at the dentist.
Condoms are bigger than the lollipop.
A matchbook.
Yeah, but condom, like in a package, a condom that is
Oh yeah, like a round.
Yeah, no, it's undone and it's filled with stuff. So I would
Okay.
say like a condom half filled with water. That's what it. Only half filled though.
Oh, okay. I was
Yeah.
picturing like a condom in the wrapper. Okay.
I could have said balloon, but balloon would have
tiny
pictured
balloon, and then we would have been. You could have said condom, Brian, and then
It's-
we'd be
it's-
back where we fucking started.
a gallbladder is the size of a tiny penis-sized balloon.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
And how do you feel
Pretty good. I feel
after
I
this
feel
conversation?
Yeah, after this conversation, I feel upset, bewildered, confused.
You came back to work too soon. Okay, so I followed up I thought you were having it like later than you were, but I followed up asking you how you're feeling about this upcoming surgery, and you were like, I already had it. So you had it on last Monday?
Yeah, almost a week and a day ago, and I feel better now than I did before the surgery. I felt like I was being poisoned, and now like the poison, I'm not receiving the poison anymore. So holistically, I feel a lot better. I feel more mental clarity. I feel more energy. I'm obviously still recovering from the incisions and things like that. So I'm like not like running a marathon, but without a doubt, this was so far, knock on wood, a great decision.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Gilly,
And I wanna just
Gilly
thank-
got spayed on Monday too. You guys both had something removed on Monday.
Wow.
Whatever this dog's name
Well,
is.
what
Sorry, wait.
size
What do you
was
want
the
to
thing
thank?
she had removed?
I just wanted to thank all
dog
the besties who reached out, who told me about their gallbladder experiences.
Wow.
A lot of besties have had their gallbladders out, and they're all fine. No one sent me a message that was like, "Don't do it. I got it done, and it was terrible." Everyone was like, "I did it. I'm fine. Everything's great." And there was one bestie in particular who got their gallbladder removed at the same hospital in Austin that I went to the emergency room for.
Oh wow! Look at that.
Look at that.
I know the world's just filled with people in different places.
I just saw a thing today, like a reel that was like talking about how I sent it to my friends, and now I already forgot the whole gist of it. But it's like we're all on the same planet together. Every 100 years, it's a whole new batch of people, and you got to kind of look at the people you're here with as like we're all in this ship together. And it's so crazy that we ended up at the same time instead of just being one of these people that's like, I hate people.
Oh yeah,
Gotta
definitely.
hate people.
Well, or like even like in traffic, you just make enemies.
Of everyone.
You're walking on the street, somebody cuts you off, that's an enemy.
Yeah.
You're in traffic, you're just making enemies.
I heard a good
constantly.
one recently, and you're not going to like this because it is scatological, but you're supposed to try when someone cuts you off and does something really aggressive to get ahead of you, think that person has to go to number 2 so bad. And then you kind of like go, all right.
All right, that guy's got
Yeah.
some stuff going on.
Yeah, my thing, and it has always been this way, and besties know this, is like when I accidentally like cut someone off or something, or like do something wrong, I immediately want forgiveness, and yet I'm not able to give it to anyone who does that to me. So I'm trying to remember the times that I've done stupid things where I'm just like, oh, I need to get over, the Louis C.K. joke of like, but I want to go
I need
there
to
now, and I want to go there.
But it's easy to give forgiveness when somebody is sorry, but if somebody
doesn't give you the
gives you
wave.
a bad motion, it's difficult to.
Oh, I always wave frantically.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Where they're like, kind of like, no, it's okay. In St. Louis, there's this thing of like, everyone is so nice here, or at least like prides themselves on being like fair, that they do this thing that Chris and I realized, like there'll be 2 lanes that merge right into one. Let's say it's an on-ramp onto the highway and there's 2 lanes merging. Well, St. Louisans don't want to ever cut in line. So they won't take the side that is supposed to do like a zipper motion.
It's called the zipper.
And so they all line up in one, and then no one's in the side one. And if you go in the side one, everyone looks like you're like trying to cut the line or something. When it's really like, no, guys, this is the way it's supposed to work.
And so people are out politing each other.
Yes.
Meanwhile, traffic is being backed up on the road that the zipper method is trying to alleviate.
Yes. And then I will say another thing about St. Louis drivers that I've noticed is that they, because of this same thing of like, they don't like rudeness, they don't like cutting, man, they don't let people in. Like in LA, and I think, I guess New York I've driven in, like other places I feel like they let you, LA is probably the only other place I've driven a car. They let you merge when you're like, oh, I just need to get, like, shit, I forgot. People just are like, we're in this all day. It doesn't
New York City,
matter.
They do not let you in New York City.
St. Louis, they
do not
don't
let you
either.
in.
If you're trying to get from Long Island into Manhattan and you have to cross the George Washington Bridge or whatever, it's like you have to literally like pretend you're going to hit the other car before they let you in. You have to be like, look, I don't give a fuck. I'll hit your car. I just want to get in front of you.
But that's the language there. Like there's different language all over for these things. For like in New York, that's. Yeah, I used to. This is gonna sound like a brag, but I used to ride my motorcycle all around New York.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
Damn, Chris is cool.
I know, I'm cool.
I didn't know you were so cool.
Oh, what about now?
Oh my God! Oh whoa!
Oh, he just put his
sunglasses.
sunglasses on.
Okay,
Cool now.
I didn't know who I was
Man.
dating.
Yeah.
I just,
Wow.
oh my God, I feel like I'm cheating now because now I'm with a guy who rode a motorcycle 10 years ago.
I still ride that motorcycle.
Yeah,
or it's
you
a different
do.
one now.
Yeah. So
But
you're
anyway,
riding around with your helmet on?
So you're riding around, yes, usually with your helmet on, and you there's just different rules in different places. And so it isn't necessarily rude to do certain things in New York. It's just you have to be aggressive to let them know that you mean business. Otherwise, they're all playing by the same rules. And so it looks horrible to you if you're from someplace where everybody's like doing something different. But it's just different.
Yeah. I will say that, I'll let anyone in front of me, but if they don't like give me a thank you, it's just not okay.
I can't handle that.
Holding the door for someone, no thank you, no politeness. Like I will be that person that's like, you're welcome. I'll do it. I'll say
you don't
it.
mind being a little passive
No,
aggressive?
because I'm a woman. They're not going to hit me. But if I was a man, I probably wouldn't. You know, like if a man to a man, I probably wouldn't. And I will say, the other day I was at the airport and I was on time, like to get everything done that I needed to do on time. But I get in line at the, priority line.
Ooh.
And there's like 2 people in front of me,
God.
which is
Priority
kind
line.
of
That's cooler than
Wow.
a motorcycle.
Did
I
you
had my
ride your
sunglasses
motorcycle on that
too? Yeah. And I waited for the 2 people in front of me, which is a little dense for a priority line. Usually at St. Louis, there's just like no one there.
Yeah.
I get to the front. She's like, I can't find your ticket. I'm like, oh shit, sorry. I'm at Delta. I'm supposed to be an American. I walk over to America and the priority line is like 6 people dense. And now I'm looking like I have 5 minutes to check my bags before things go down.
Yeah.
And I am stressing because I have to make a connection. Like this isn't good. 5 minutes to check a bag. And now there's one person at the desk and she's on the phone. You know, when they pick up the phone,
That's not good.
that's not good. So, and she has 4 other people after that guy. So I start panicking and I write everyone in my life.
I'm not going to make it.
I'm not going to make it. And I do the thing that I hate doing, but I tell other people you got to do it. I say to the guy in front of me, I'm so sorry. I'm going to miss my flight. Or I'm going to, I think I said that just to make sense to him. It's like, I'm not going to miss my flight, but I was going to miss the baggage check-in time, in which case I'd miss my flight. And he goes, I'm late too. And I go, how late are you? When's your flight? And he goes, it's boarding now. And I go, well, you can't check a bag anymore. If your flight's boarding, that means it's...
You had this conversation with him?
Yeah, I go, ooh, that's bad. I go, you can't check a bag before it cuts off at 45 minutes before your flight. And he goes, well, and I go, all right, well, cool. So then that guy kind of gets taken away for some reason because I guess the authorities were on to
Yeah,
him.
once you're mean to a
What
blonde,
is he doing?
if you're mean to a blonde woman in certain states, they take you out.
And I get to the front somehow, and this woman is like not happy with me. and how late I am. And I'm like, I was already a minute over. So it's 44 minutes before. And I go, can you please find a way to check my bag? I'm so sorry. She's like, you have a dog too? And I was like, I already called about the dog. And she goes, you need to fill out this form. And I'm filling it out. And she goes,
form?
just the bottom, ma'am. Just the bottom. Because I'm like trying to fill it. And I'm like, I didn't hear you. You're kind of mumbling. These people are experts at just like saying things that like to each other that you and sometimes you go, what? And they go, I was talking to her. And you're like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be listening to because you look down. You don't look at me. And so then she gives me my ticket. I'm like, thank you so much. That was so helpful. You made my day. Run to the gate. And now my boarding pass will not. And she goes, do you want your boarding pass? And I go, no, I can get on my phone because I just don't want to bother this woman anymore. She hates me. And then I go to my app. It's not coming up on my app, the boarding pass. You need a boarding pass to go through security. Yeah. Everyone knows that. So I am now very close to my flight taking off. And I go up the stairs, back to the desk. And I just go up to her because she's helping someone else, but I just don't have time. And I'm like, I need a boarding pass. It won't let me check in. And she goes, I asked you if you checked in already.
Oh, yeah.
And I go, no, you didn't. You asked if I had a boarding pass, and I thought I could pull it up on here. And she goes, you didn't check in yet. And I was like, but it doesn't let me check in because I have a dog. I have to check in. You have to check me in. That's the way it goes when you check a dog. It doesn't let you check in online, ever.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, Brian knows. So she goes, I asked you if you checked in. I said, I did. You asked me if I wanted a paper boarding. And I was like, I'm not getting into this. I go, you're right. I'm sorry. And she goes, well, I'm going to have to book you on a later flight. And I was like,
fuck.
I just go,
No
I don't
way.
know what I'm going to do. And I just start crying. And she then starts typing furiously and then just hands me my boarding pass and goes, you better run. And then gets me on the flight. So if I hadn't cried, I would not have made that flight. Yeah. And I know that for a fact.
I want to try to empathize with those people because like they have to work all day at an airport.
Yes.
And there's just constant angry people coming at them. And I've got to imagine this woman was in like her 50s. I'm just guessing.
No, 30s.
Yeah, so she's like between
Brian
her 30s
hates
and her
women
50s.
in his 50s.
Yeah.
No,
you
because
think
He's
we're
taking note
all-
of that.
Well, the longer she's there, the angrier she'll get over time. Was my assumption.
By the way,
so.
I just said you think we're all as if I'm in my 50s. I've accepted that I'm practically in my 50s now that I've turned 40.
basically
I'm already 50s.
Yeah.
This weekend, we heard some guy talking about hanging out with older people, and he goes, yeah, well, it's a bunch of guys in their 50s. And we were trying to guess his age afterwards, and Anya made the point, because he disparaged guys in their 50s, he's definitely in his 30s. And we nailed it because 40, he was like a bunch of 50-year-old guys, and we were like, you wouldn't say that in your 40s because you're close to
Right.
that.
You're too close.
So he's 30s. It was interesting. So Brian, you're right. Like I do want to empathize with them as well, but
it's hard to. It's like can't. It's
and I
what-
do. But I feel bad.
No, it's terrible. It's dehuman. You know,
they're not paying them enough.
They're not pay. They're not getting paid enough, and it's the same thing with like post office workers. People show up and they just don't know.
Oh my God.
The rules.
Yes.
The people working there know the rules perfectly, and then they don't love that you don't know the rules, and that it's making everybody's life harder, including theirs and
Right.
other passengers.
Right.
And so it's just you're getting the worst of people because they're stressed about traveling. They're not great at it usually. Priority line's a little bit different. I mean,
My mom goes, she just wants those buddy passes. That's why she's doing the job. And I go, this woman is not a world traveler. I promise you, it's just a job that showed up on monster.com. Like, it's not. My mom goes, she's getting those free flights, though. Like, my mom's always looking at how these
The
people are
angles.
getting the perks.
Yeah.
And so then this week, and I go there every week. Every Thursday or Friday, I'm there at this exact same time to check in for a flight. And this week, I'm going there, and I'm like, I really hope she's not there. Like, I know she'll
Oh, the
remember
same
me.
woman.
And she's there.
well, no, don't you want to go and be like, well, you get there early and
I wasn't
and be
early.
a responsible
Oh,
human.
late
I
again.
wasn't late, but I was on time, but I wasn't like super early. But I was just like, she's gonna remember I was the frantic girl who was like, who she had to be like, ma'am, calm down, kind of thing.
Remember, we met somebody, or I met somebody because you were running late and a flight that we were both taking, and I got there early, and I made like buddies with this person, an
Yes.
American, and she was amazing. And I think she ended
Yes.
up like knowing about the radio show that I do, and
Yeah.
she knew who you were, and then I think I might have gotten her number or something.
I think so.
And would be like, oh,
Hook up
the
with
next
her.
week. But once she found out about my motorcycle,
Yeah.
it was game over.
Well, so I show up. So my mom drops me off, and I told my mom this whole story, and she's like, "Oh, I hope she's not there." And then I show up, and I'm like, "She's here." And I text her, and I walk up, and she goes, "Oh, I checked you in last week. I was hoping she wouldn't remember."
Damn, she remembered too.
And I go, yeah, and you saved my ass. I was like, thank you so much. And
Nice.
she actually did. Like, you know,
Yes, definitely.
she was about to not.
Those people have
That's
actual
what annoyed me,
and
though.
real. Well, here's the
That she could have done that without me crying.
Here's the prop. Yes, she could have, but I think that they're always having to try to teach lessons because they don't want this to happen again to you or other people. And so they have to kind
Yeah.
of be, there has to be like a little bit of a balance of like, hey, you messed up, but I helped you. And also they're slave to these horrible policies. So because this problem I have with America that I love so dearly is like everybody's litigious. And so then companies have to have policies, and those policies have to be
Yeah.
enforced by people that don't want to do it. You know, they're
Mm-hmm.
putting this onus on these workers that aren't making enough money to deal with the worst humanity has to offer.
And they must be being checked on if they're following the policy so much.
Yeah.
And like it's because otherwise you wouldn't give a shit about the policy.
I've had more people do nice things like that person has.
Yeah.
And sort of bent a rule a little or done something than I've had people be bad to me.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say there's more good people, and I'm glad that she's one of the people that are in this world with me on this ship for these 100 years. Because I said, you helped me so much last time, and then she has to get on the phone because I'm in the bulkhead seat, and the dog can't. There's no seat for the dog to go under, and I need to be in. I got moved to the front row. I'm texting my assistant like, hey, you can't ever put me in front row, even though I already told you I hate front rows. But she was like, I didn't. They just bumped you up, and then that's where it put you. And then. So then she gets on the phone with the gate agent, and she's like, she has a dog. She can't be in the front row. And the woman on the phone's not understanding. She goes, she's new. She was like, I need you to understand. This lady, she called me a lady,
Ooh,
which was
lady.
fine, has a dog. It can't go in. And she's explained it like 14 times. She gets on the phone, and she goes, oh, my God. I go, wait, what was going on there? She was like, she's new. Things are... And then we bonded,
you bonded over her.
someone like me last time.
Well, that's the other
Hell
thing. Is
yeah.
they have to put out their fellow employees and ask for favors to
Yes.
to get all that stuff
Yes. And so she was actually ended up being so cool, and I think now we're friends.
going. Your buddies.
Nice.
And I'll get her number for you to hook up with later.
Just tell her
yeah.
about the motorcycle. Lady, by the way, I think is in the running for the dog's name
Lady.
because of Bill Burr, how he goes.
Lady. Yeah, and she just woke up from that. Maybe because
Allie had a family dog growing up that was named Lady. Very good dog.
Lady's
okay.
a cute name. She just seems like a girl to me, though. And we wanted to name her Girly, but my friend Kirsten's dog's name is Girly.
I think you could name her Girl. We could just call her Girl, and you can call her Girly, or any variation of Girl, and then we get to say Good Girl and Bad Girl,
Right.
just the way we want to.
Yes.
And then that's her name is Girl, and then you get to be
Girl.
like, Hey, Girl.
Hey, girl. Oh,
I
that's
mean-
interesting.
I really don't like that name. I'm just going to be honest.
Girl?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. It just sounds like a little bit like trying too hard to come up with something that no other dog's name would be. Lady is
Interesting.
like a classic old name. The other names you mentioned before seem to be like more normal dog names. Girl seems to be like a gimmick, in my opinion.
What if we said Girly to people who ask?
Then that's her name.
Sure,
Oh,
yeah,
shit.
well, whatever
But
you
this is
say.
the problem is
this isn't a
everyone's
kid.
asking.
But this isn't a kid where you're like, oh, I can't name my daughter the same name as my friend's daughter because
Kirsten's pregnant, and I know the name of her baby that's going to be
Oh.
due in August, and I thought it would be so funny if I named this dog that girl's name. It would be so fucking funny.
Fuck you.
Kirsten, can you imagine?
Yeah.
let's name it Sarah Lena.
Oh my God, that's funny. I would be so happy to be named after a dog.
Yeah.
Or to be a dog, to have a dog. Wait,
Yeah.
no, Gary Veter, who was on the show the last episode, named his daughter or son after a dog that he and his wife both loved. They owned a dog walking company, and I was like, that's so cute.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And it's so a thing that a comedian would someday be like, can you believe my parents named me after a dog? And we'd all go, oh my God,
man,
what
that's
terrible
crazy.
parents.
Well, that's
Even
why
though
you're
they're
a
like,
comedian.
you could be great parents for naming your kid after a dog because it's like funny and cool, or it's like they're the worst. We can spin anything.
Brian, what names do you think?
Well,
Some, a friend just saw the dog for the first time, and the first thing that came to his mind, Nathan Lane. Yes, that's just what came. That just was in his heart for this
For
dog.
a girl? Okay, Lainey. What about you?
I hate when you are talking to someone, like sometimes I meet someone whose name is Jack, and my dog's name is Jack, and then I go, Jack, that's my dog's name. And then sometimes those people get offended.
Yeah.
Because I hate those people. Those people can rot in a burning ship.
I get excited when people have a dog named Nikki. In fact, I don't think I've told this on the podcast. I hope that I haven't.
Is there a sound effect that we can do that's like breaking news? Dun, 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 dun.
That's it. And we'll be right back after this with this breaking news story. Okay, I don't know that if I told this, but I met a bestie. I told you, Chris. I met a bestie at a meet and greet, and she was with her husband, and she was very excited to meet me, so sweet, and was like, oh my God, we were listening to your podcast on the way here. Like, this is like such a dream come true. It was so nice. And she was like, Jonathan, and she like calls over her husband because she's having a moment with me first, and then she's like, I need him here for this. And she was like, I need to tell you both something. And did I tell this yet, Brian? And
No.
she goes, Jonathan, Nikki's nephew and niece are named Poppy and Arlo. And I just see his face drop. And she goes, those are our dogs' names.
No.
And she was like, I named our dogs after Nikki's niece and nephew. And I didn't want you to know at the time.
Oh, I remember.
And he was like, you did? Like, he felt so left out, but also like kind of confused, but also like didn't care. He was just like, okay, that's cool. I was like, I'm sorry, Jonathan. Like, you cut, because I know
Oh
that
my
would really
God.
irritate you.
Oh, yeah. It
Betrayal.
would be like, what have you done to me?
Yes, yes. So
It's like being cucked.
yeah, it was. But he was really like, because I was like
But he
taking
handled
care
it
of
well.
him. I was
Yeah.
like, oh my God, this really doesn't mean anything. She was just, my niece and nephew were very cute. And she was like, we were listening to your podcast on the way here and you were talking about Poppy. And I thought you might also say Arlo and he would have connected it. And I didn't want to tell him until we were here with you. But it was a very cute moment. The fans have been doing the sweetest things. Like, that means so much to me.
Oh, that T-shirt thing is insane.
Oh my God, this weekend I am at Foxwoods Casino, which is this huge casino campus in the middle of Connecticut. I don't know if it's in the middle. I don't really know where we were in Connecticut.
You're
you know
not good
that.
at geography.
No, and I have no idea even where Connecticut is, to be honest with you. And I go to the Starbucks. There's only one Starbucks on campus, and I go alone. I wanted Anya to walk me because I had a show there the night before, so I'm like kind of recognizable. Especially, if I'm just like out and about in a town, I would never care about going to Starbucks on my own because I don't feel recognizable. But when I'm at a casino where I'm performing and my posters everywhere, like I was just like, I just don't. It's a long walk. I was like, Anya, will you go with me? And she was like, she just gave me her hat and she was like, you'll be fine. 'Cause she had really needed to take a nap, but she was tired. And it's a long walk to Starbucks. So I was like, actually, okay, I'll just go. So I put on my hat and I rush over there. And I didn't get recognized at all. Pretty good, moved very fast, looked at the ground, and probably no one gave a shit. And
Why is Nikki running with that hat on?
and saying, don't look at me, don't look at me, don't look at me, as I walk through all these casino tables where no one's focused on anything except the cards. Okay, so then I get to the Starbucks and I lock eyes with this girl who just goes like, oh, and her name is Stephanie L. Kelly. Because she gave me a friendship bracelet with her name on it so that I would remember her
that's
with her
funny.
Instagram handle so I would know. She is like, she's by herself. I literally think Stephanie was perched up at the Starbucks waiting for me. It was like at the watering hole trying to shoot a buffalo.
Yeah.
Like she's gonna show up.
Yes.
And Stephanie, you're right. I had been there 2 hours before, and I was probably there 2 hours after I saw you as well. She saw me. It could have been coincidental, but I do not begrudge her waiting there. I would have done the same exact thing. I think it's actually pretty cool. And she was wearing the shirt that Chris made for himself to wear to Era's tour last year when we went to see Taylor, which is a bunch of pictures of me with it, and it says Taylor Swift on it.
And it took you a long time before you realized it wasn't Taylor Swift.
I was just like, oh my God, that's a cool shirt. Where did you? Oh my God, it's me! Like, and then when I saw her shirt, I recognized it immediately because it's really cool design. And I was like, how did you get that shirt? And she was like, I messaged Chris back when I saw it, and then he told me about, and I probably tagged the t-shirt company at the time too. So she had it made, and she had all these friendship bracelets made. One says Gilly, which Gilly I gave her earlier, and she chewed on it until it broke. And then she has one that says The Smallest Man Who Ever Lived Bridge, which is my favorite Taylor Swift song. And then she has one that says Football and J-Lo, which are two things that I've done 180s on this year.
Yep.
And then
Wow.
she, and Someday You'll Die. It was the nicest thing. She was so excited. She had moved around some things to even come. She was like maybe my biggest fan I've ever met.
Did the back of the shirt say hashtag Team Healy on it?
Oh no, I don't think it did. That's so funny that
'Cause
Chris
mine
did.
But
Chris
people
is-
can buy this shirt. So the Baked Tees has made it available on their website.
Yeah, Baked Tees, Baked TS.
Baked TS at on Instagram.
Yeah.
And it's in St. Louis. They'll
It's
ship you a shirt.
so cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, Chris has said Team Healy on the back when we went to Eras because that was around the time that Taylor was getting a lot of heat for dating Matt Healy. And Chris had heard me being like, leave her alone, let her have fun with this guy. As we all know, she wanted us to say in the first place, Swifties, I wasn't a Sarah or a Hannah, you know it, from the get-go. And so you had Team Healy on the back, which was hilarious, which no one knew the impact that Healy would have at that moment
Oh, yeah.
on her discography. But man, do we know now. Anyway, this is the coolest thing that she did. So she straight up, I go, let's get a picture. And she shows me her phone, and her phone is my phone case, which is a phone case I bought 2 weeks ago when I got a new phone. I haven't talked about it on the podcast. She just saw it on the podcast, and she bought it. And the reason she bought it is probably not because she loves it. It's because she knows that I bought Taylor Swift's phone case, and she said that you're my Taylor Swift, so I bought your phone case.
Wow.
And she got my phone case. And it wasn't like I made an announcement, I got this phone case. She just like sleuthed it. And that was
Damn.
so cool
That's
to
pretty
me.
impressive.
I felt
It's like
amazing.
Inception for fans.
It was like what I would do she did exactly what I would do. She's me.
Right. Now I'm her biggest fan, so I'm going to get all of that stuff.
Yeah, you have to
What's her
get
name?
my
Stephanie Kelly?
Stephanie L. Kelly.
Stephanie L. Kelly.
Yeah, she was awesome. That was so cool. There were so many really sweet besties over the weekend that I hugged, and we just shared just such a sweet,
shows,
sweet
right?
You're
moment.
going to see Stephanie next week walking around in that hat.
She loves Carl's
Oh
Drive-In.
yeah, the hat that Anya got because it's like a Dead Friends logo that they made for his funeral, and Anya was like, "Please don't lose this, please." And I go, "I'll just get you one made if I do." And she was like, "I don't want to hear that." And I'm like, "But it'll be that you won't know." And she was like, "I want." And I go, "I'll take a picture of it in case I'll just get it." But she was like, "No, I want that one." And I understand, but anyway, it was
Shows were good this weekend, right?
yeah, they were amazing.
Are you having fun right now?
Yes, I'm having a lot of fun. Yes, it is so great. It's nice to be selling out shows and not worrying about promoting
Oh,
them
yeah.
like crazy and just having audiences that like want me to be insane and like say crazy shit. And like they're not
Yeah.
that horrified by it. And like I'm really I did some stuff this weekend that I came up with this idea to do a bit. I don't even want to say what it's about because I'll probably get canceled the mere mention of the concept, what it's about. But I was like, if I can make this a joke that I could do ultimately on the couch for like Kimmel or something, I will succeed in my life. And I think that it's kind of there. But during the bit that I was working on, because I was talking about getting canceled, and I was like, speaking of, I'm going to do some jokes about this concept. And the audience is like, yikes. And I'm like, just stay with me because I'm on the right side of things. And then I go into it. And there's some jokes that me and, Ari Fendling was on the road with us this weekend, Sean O'Connor. We wrote some jokes that were not the nicest.
Yeah.
Like
Ari Finley, known racist.
yeah. So everyone knows. So we wrote some jokes that were just kind of for us. And then I kind of said some of those just because it was just peppered them in. And I felt safe in that room of like, I know this is wrong and that I don't actually think this and all these things. And then I saw that people were filming me. And that's never happened before.
Shit.
Yeah, that's bad.
Like
TMZ.
film, and I go, put away your camera. I see you filming me. Usher, make her delete that.
Usher was there?
Damn.
That's awesome. Did you bring
And
the
he's
Usher
really
box?
good at getting through people's phones. And then I realized even if the Usher made her delete it, like you can just go through deleted things and get it
Yeah.
back. And it made it seem like, man, maybe now we should film this. Then other people started filming.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm like,
You're gonna have
God,
to
do you
the
really want to
Chappelle
be the
method.
one who like cancels me? Like, is that something that people want to do?
People want to post on their Instagram videos of you doing material that no one's seen before for their own social media clout, whether or not it cancels you or not.
Man, there is nothing worse than a just grainy stand-up video out of context on someone's Instagram feed. You're such a loser if you do that. I mean, I understand why you do it, but you really are a loser if you post that.
That's easy because there are people listening to this right now that has been very excited about you or other comedians.
And I want them to know they're losers. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
They're not losers. It's the same thing. I just read a tweet that's, I read it. I saw it last year, but it's like, hey, everybody posting, videos of your fireworks on Instagram. Nobody is watching those.
Well, I guess I'm not calling you a loser because I've taken video of Taylor Swift, but I won't post it unless it's like really good footage because I'm looking at footage constantly on Instagram and I'm like, I see what's out there and like I know I've taken some videos that's like out of the audience shots, some of the best going.
Right.
And I'll post that. But if you're posting stand-up clips that if you're not a comedian and don't really know the art of like how first of all, you shouldn't do it because that's proprietary and it's something that I'm going to use later that isn't out. So it's like, it's different than cool.
It's different than music, right? So explain that whole idea.
Well, yeah, it's a joke I haven't said before, and so it's in the early stages of like this is a live experience where we're just all supposed to be doing this together. And now you can say you heard that before, and maybe show your friends the video then after it's now out, and be like, "Look at I saw this version of it" when you're in a living room with your friends. But posting it is just making me look not as good as I am and professional as I am because I'm working out new material and it's.
But then explain that. Explain. I think that's interesting
because I throw out a lot of stuff when a joke is raw that is never going to make the final one.
Right, but we know that. But just to back it up a little bit, so comics go out. So they do an hour, right? They record an hour for, let's say, HBO. Check out
Someday You'll Die.
Someday You'll Die.
And vote for it.
And vote
on your
for it
Emmy
right
submit.
now. Yes.
Oh yeah.
But they'll do an hour, right? And then they'll tour, right? People will go watch that and be like, "Oh, I love Nikki Glaser," and then they'll go on tour, right?
Yeah.
And during that tour, they're doing new material, right? Or some comics are doing some of the material from that, but you do new material. You don't want people to hear the stuff they just watched on the special on your live. You want people to have a new experience. But during that new experience, you are working out new material.
I'm hitting some bad notes in these new songs I'm singing. Like you're doing things that are, and it's fun to witness those bad notes being hit when you're live. But I don't want them on the internet out of context where people don't know that it's new.
So people are witnessing you experimenting with new material, and so you're working things out. Like I've seen Chris Rock, like before that big live special that he did.
Yeah.
And he did some things that were very similar, but they weren't the same as what I saw on the special. And so he was working out the perfect way to do these.
And there's no
with
way
an
to
audience.
do that without. I can't do it in front of a mirror. I can't do it in front of my stuffed animals. I can't even do it with a Zoom call with 6 other writers. Like you don't know how it's going to work in an audience without doing it in front of an audience. So and that's the fun part about stand-up is that you get to witness something that's only for you in that room. Like I'm gonna remember that room. You have me for an hour. Like we have each other, and there's no one else in the world that in that moment, and that's what's special. So
that's what's special and beautiful about this art form is that there like it's not going to a concert and you want to hear the exact songs that you heard from the album. You're hearing something new and different, and maybe
the new stuff is gonna be shaky.
Maybe you'll never see again,
or amazing.
Yes,
and you might get to see. Like I've told audiences, you're gonna hear that was the first time I ever said that because you inspired me to say that. And you're going to hear it on my next special. And you please tell people you were there. You were the reason I came up with it because it is a collaborative thing. But I will say, like, I don't want to get to the point where I have to use those fucking bags that you put your phones in. You know why? Because I like to be able to check my phone during a show. I'm someone who looks at their phone, even at Era's tour. I like to check my texts. I like to check what time it is. I like to check, like, I don't mind people looking at their phones during the show if they put it on a very, dim setting or what. And I want them to order some dim sum. I want them to be able to get on Uber Eats. I want them to be able to take pictures too.
But
like pictures are great, and video if you want to look at it later. I don't mind video, but gotta be sneaky about it. Don't like when you're just holding it up. I can see it so clearly because it the screen reflects back at me, and it's my phone case, bitch.
This isn't Stephanie E. Kelly's fault.
Yeah, so it's just like I just wish people wouldn't do that, and because I've never cared about that much because I'm like, I don't know, like no one even cares what is going out about me. But now I'm at this moment where it's like I have things to lose if you show the wrong clip of me at a show where I'm testing out a joke that is never gonna. I never intended it to make anywhere. I just threw it out there. I'm testing, and someone could say that's Nikki's new material. That's her big take on things, and then I could stand to lose things, honestly.
Right. Well, I think that's the thing that's problematic is if people see a video of you working something out and being like, that's Nikki's stance, where it's like
God.
something you just maybe came up with. That's the thing about the way Nikki does most of her writing is Nikki's coming up with a lot of it on stage as it's happening.
And I've said things that I would never stand behind or act like that are just the craziest thing to say because I am comfortable with the crowd and I know that this just stays here. And like, I'm not saying words that you shouldn't say, by the way. Like you're never going to catch me
Right.
saying the worst things in the world, but like I'm saying stuff that I don't mean a lot. And I just want it to be safe. But if it's not, I'll go do music. And you guys don't want that. No one wants that. I'm doing it, but no one's begging for it, okay? So, yeah, I mean, it's just... I understand the you're not a loser, but I'm just trying to, I guess I was just trying to make them feel bad. Like, oh, I don't want to be a loser, so I won't film.
Yeah.
I'm doing the thing my mom did where she was like, tried to scare me from ever going out. So she said that when I was little, if you go past the driveway, you will die.
Wow,
you're a loser.
That's pretty
That is
crazy.
Yeah. And
That's
so
a
my
crazy
dad would
thing
come
to
home
tell
from
someone,
work.
a child.
Brian, it's insane. So my dad would come home from work and be like, because we lived on a river. So her whole thing was, I'm going to fall in the river. Like our driveway went directly into a river. There's a road, next to the river. But so my dad would come home from work and he's a river guy. So he'd be like, let's go canoeing. And I'd be screaming, crying, but I couldn't even say we'll die. Like I didn't know the way to say it. So that's why I hate hikes and canoeing.
Wow.
Probably.
Yeah.
Because I think we'll die. And we almost did. One time my dad took us out canoeing on a trip with my family, and my mom and sister were in a canoe, and they got caught in this thing called the dreaded root wad, where like the water like swirls around this root wad system, and it can pull people and children under, and their boat
Damn.
capsized, and they were screaming.
Oh my
and
God.
my sister was like 5, and all we remember her screaming was, "Oh, mama! Oh, mama!" Because it was so cold, and she was probably screaming for her mom. And I remember my parents being very rattled after that, and I could tell like, oh, my sister almost just died, like because she almost drowned to death. It was that scary because they couldn't. We didn't go any further the rest of the night. We just stayed on that bank, and we had a lot more to do. Like, have you ever had moments in your childhood where your parents like you knew something massive just happened because of their reaction?
Not that I can remember off the top of my head.
When they got divorced.
Oh yeah, that'll change things. Whoa, mama.
Whoa, mama.
Another time, I remember I was screaming, crying. We were getting out of the car at a rest stop. We must have been 6 because we would drive from St. Louis to Cincinnati all the time after we moved to St. Louis from Cincinnati. And we stopped at a rest stop, and I was screaming, throwing a tantrum about something. And I was like, I remember it was my dad wanted me to tie my shoes or something, and I was like, ah! And I hated socks, and I hated the strings on tying shoes where they would go like, it would like, I just don't like strings, cotton on cotton being like tugged. I hate it.
There you
So
go.
I was
That's
just
a Taylor.
like,
That's a Taylor thing.
yes.
You sounded like Taylor even when you were
Oh,
just talking.
I don't like when the cotton is like frayed and you can see this little strings coming off. Anyway, so I was screaming. I flew back, and we were by the car. I just got out of the car, flew back, fell on the ground, started writhing around, and my head went right behind the wheel of a truck.
Oh my God.
And it started backing up. And
Oh,
my dad
God.
fell to his knees, bloodied his knees horribly, pulled me out as the truck was coming over my
Whoa.
hair.
Oh.
And it almost crushed my skull. And I remember like that was just like I'll never forget. My parents will never forget it, obviously, but because that was just, I threw a lot of tantrums when I was that age, but that one stayed with me because my parents were like catatonic after it.
Yeah.
Like couldn't
Oh,
eat.
yeah.
And yeah. And
You
my dad's
didn't
knees were
intend
all
to throw
bloody.
yourself behind the tire, right? You just
No, I was just like, no, that I
You were
wasn't
just out of
suicidal
control.
Remember
yet.
what it was about?
It had to be about socks and shoes. Like I really just
Mm-hmm.
hated socks and tying shoes or like any like confining my feet. My bunions were already cranking at that point. But
Yeah.
I was just throwing a child's tantrum, and I just remember sensing something had shifted after that, where like they were both like, oh my God, she almost just died.
Yeah.
And they were so bummed out that it didn't happen. No.
That did. I do have a moment that like that happened to me too.
Okay, we'll hear about it right when we get back from this. Okay, Brian, what is your moment you remember?
I remember me and my brother's 3 years older than me, and we used to fight a lot, like physically fight.
Yeah.
And we were playing, and I remember he was like, there was always a moment in the fight. I was younger, I was smaller, so he would always be able to defeat me. But there was always a moment in the fight where I would go insane, and I would always beat my brother if I went nuts. Like I would turn into a creature I would just go insane.
It's Wolverine Berserker style. Yeah.
I would go Berserker. I would go like Super Saiyan, and then he'd be like, I have no chance because I'm not going to be as crazy as he's going to be right now.
Like you would just get, like you would fight dirty.
I would just do anything.
My sister would do the same goddamn thing.
Yeah. It would be like
Kicking.
before that moment, it would be like we're fighting, but we're not really going to hurt each other. And then if I go Super Saiyan, it's like he's going to try to kill me literally.
Yes. We all know that sibling that can just switch like that. Okay.
Yeah. So it's like being pushed into a corner. So we were playing, you remember the show Get Smart?
Yeah.
So in Get Smart, Agent Smart used to do this thing where he'd take the butt of a gun and he'd hit someone in the back of the neck and they would knock them unconscious. It was just like a move they did.
Right.
And so we had these two like cap guns, and the game we were playing was called Get Smart, where we would bullwhip each other, whatever it's called.
Pistol
whip.
Pistol whip each other in the back of the neck to try to knock each other unconscious. And so we were doing that to each other, and we were running around the house doing that. Yeah, it was a fun game. And then at a certain point, I like lost my mind, and I was like, I can't take this anymore. And I went Super Saiyan. And my brother, you could see the fear in his eyes. And I charged him, and I got him to the ground. And then he was lying on his back, and I leaped off the couch into the air, knees first, right onto his back. It was insane. And my brother was in excruciating pain. He was writhing around. He was really hurt. And my dad came and he saw this, and that's when my dad had that reaction where he's like, this isn't just horseplay. You could have paralyzed your brother.
So it is horseplay. It's Christopher Reeve style. So, God.
I hope people didn't have their phones out for that.
That rage that comes out, like, my sister used to have it. You couldn't elicit that, like there were certain words or a thing I could say that would make her turn into that berserker thing you're talking about.
Yeah, the berserker.
Why don't you just use the Hulk analogy? Like, doesn't he turn green when he's like gets so crazy?
Yeah, you could do
you
that.
Hulk out.
Okay, so it'd be like the same thing.
Guy,
All right.
Yeah.
Soma, you know that.
Yeah.
I famously, when we went to go see Avengers.
Man. No, not Avengers. This is
X-Men.
Yeah, this is one of the X-Men. It might have been the Wolverine.
Yeah.
It might have been X-Men Wolverine.
Okay.
So
it's the one where he wakes up in the morning and he stretches after he gets out of bed.
He gets out of bed. He doesn't have a shirt
It's a
on.
shot from behind.
Yes.
Yes. This is around. I remember this because this is around 2016. You talked about this a lot.
Yeah, we did, and I accidentally didn't mean to, but my body just gasped. Like
She
I just
audibly gasped.
That's the sound that came deep from within my. Like my womb, I don't know what was happening, and I gasped, and like I just was like, and Chris heard, and like just head on a swivel was like, did you just like? It was such a lame thing for me to do, but I didn't mean to. It wasn't like I was trying to be like, oh my God, look at his back. It's so like there's nothing more lame to me than someone trying to make someone feel like, look how hot I think that guy is.
Yeah, you've never been like that.
No, but I was gonna say my sister. We used to don't upset her if she's holding a remote or holding something because she'll just throw that thing. Like she'll throw the scissors, she'll throw the remote at your head. One time she held me and Kirsten hostage when I was supposed to be babysitting her with a knife. And like she's so embarrassed by this story to this day, but she wouldn't let us pick up the phone to call my parents because she was holding a butcher knife next to it and was like, and we were both like, you're fucking nuts. And she was like, I'll cut you. And she seriously would have. She was so
If
crazy
you would have
like
gone
that.
for the phone, she would.
Oh yeah, she would have. She absolutely would have. She was nuts. It was really scary. But then I was more verbally like assaulting.
Oh,
and my dad
cutting.
used to just see. Yes, my dad used to just say, Nikki goes for the jugular Jesus Christ, you just go for the jugular, don't you? Like I'll just say the thing that the whole family has been tiptoeing around. Well, it's all because we know mom, blah, blah. Like I'd say the thing that like no one wants to talk about.
Yeah.
And that would really devastate people. But I will say that I've been kind of almost entering into these like moments where I'm like, I can't take it anymore and I like lose control. But it's been happening in my Pilates classes. Last Monday I did it, and then this Monday I think I should not work out on Mondays after road weekends.
It's like Garfield.
Yes, I should just
He hates
sit
working
in
out on
a
Mondays.
a platter of lasagna that I just ate. Yeah, it really is.
What do you think the deal is with that?
So I went to the class last week, and we just get to there. I'm already struggling because it's like 10 minutes in. I'm like, I don't know how to I'm going to do this whole thing. But I think that at probably every class is like, how am I going to do this whole thing? This is hard right now. But I always persevere, but not always. Because last Monday, we get to this one thing that was kind of not easy for me to do in terms of everything's hard. But this one was really like my body doesn't do it right. And I just get so mad at myself for not doing it right. And I just go, I'm done. And I rolled up my thing and I walk out of the class 15 minutes in.
Do you stomp out?
man.
Like, do you roll up your mat like you're proving a point?
No, that might have been the old Nikki. I definitely do this just like, one's my fault. Like, I'm not trying to be like, you made up this thing and I don't like it, instructor. Because yesterday I was at my regular Pilates class that I go to all the time that I love, love, love. The other one I left, it's kind of like the hot Pilates thing and I don't love it. So that was easier for me to walk out of. But this one yesterday, the girl came up right away and because she saw me just get a towel and start wiping the thing off. And she goes, what's, she's like, are you okay? And I go, no, I'm just not feeling it today. And she goes, I respect that. And I had to walk out of the class in front of everyone. And I want to just say, it's very empowering. I did not
They all start clapping for you?
they
They were like,
if they weren't in holding a plank at the time, I'm sure they would have. Their ass cheeks were slowly being flexed and clapping. I've seen it happen one time in a Pilates class that I went to where a girl quit halfway through, and I remember being like, "Good for you," but also like, couldn't tough it out, could you?
Yeah.
And then I know that's what they thought for me, but I just couldn't do it. And I want to just empower more girls to leave classes because, first of all, if I would have just not showed up to that class, which I was planning on kind of thinking about doing, I would have been charged $15. This way, I did a 16-minute workout. I didn't get charged $15.
Wow.
And that's the end of that list. And I left with I didn't leave with I did not leave with dignity. I felt off the rest of the night.
You're
I
also
felt like
giving
failure.
a gift. You're giving a gift to the rest of the class for they're supporting you and saying good for you, but they feel better about themselves because they're going to finish the class when other people
Nikki
couldn't.
Glaser couldn't hack it.
Yeah.
But I've read a few things that say that so often people just don't want to work out, and there's a lot of people that have said, just go for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
dude.
And if you get through the 5 minutes, you do the 10, and if you get through that, then maybe you can just do this.
Yeah.
And if you can't get through it, then just go home, and that's okay.
And I think that's
But they
why
always
classes
say, like, what they're thinking when they say that is you're going to wind up doing the hour because you're going
Yeah,
to see.
totally.
But for you to get up at 11 minutes is such a fuck you to those people and their smug attitude with their little trick.
Final thought, I just didn't feel cute. My outfit was mismatched because my laundry wasn't good. I was pale. I have a burn on my leg. I was also on this new machine. They're trying to fit more machines down there. So they added one right by the bathroom. And the machine it's not the same as the others. And it's in the
Jesus.
corner. And I just felt like I don't like that. And the ropes were like, when you're doing arm stuff and the ropes were different sizes. So I had to tilt to make it work. So it was a lot of things, but it was also, I just started my period, which girlies, like I just was tired. I felt bloated. You know the word I wanted to say and didn't say. I traveled 8 hours that day on 2 different planes. I was like, I shouldn't be doing this, but you book the class because these classes fill up so freaking fast.
Yeah.
That you have to book it 2 weeks in advance and go, I guess I'm going to want to work out when I get home on a 4:00 flight at 6:00. No. I didn't.
You had no business being in that class
I
anyway.
had no business being there. And I went to the front desk and I go, I'm sorry, because that is a different girl. And she was like, what's going on? Like, you could tell it never happens there. She was like, is everything okay? And I was just like, I'll see you tomorrow.
Those girls
can't
in
do
that
it.
class are for real.
For real. They all have amazing bodies. I mean, you don't go in there and you can't half-ass fucking anything in there. So it was really, I was proud of myself though, and I empower more people to just leave a class early if you're not feeling it. But I will say, I felt shitty the rest of the night. Like I couldn't feel good about it because I felt like I failed in some way. And I want to double up today because I'd promised myself that. And I'm not going to, but it's like there is a part of me that feels like, have you quit things in your life? Like, have you like straight up, have you guys like felt, because I've quit so many things in life and I want to know, like, I want to find an example of when it felt really good to quit.
Well,
something.
as I get older, I learn that I have wisdom about working out. Whereas if I'm working out and like a muscle is twinging or I feel like I'm pushing it too hard, I used to just go, push through it, Brian, you can do it. And sometimes you get injured. And now whenever I feel like that, if my knee is tweaked or something like that, I'm like, I'm just not going to finish and I'll rest.
Right.
And that is to me wisdom. It's not shame. It's not shame. It's wisdom.
That's
Yeah.
shame.
No, it is wisdom. That is good. But in some days, it's just, you just can't
You just don't got it. Some
do it.
days.
Some days I'm
Yeah.
just so tired and I can't really, and it's hard for me to admit I'm tired after a weekend where I did it, I did 2 shows at Foxwoods at 2 nights in a row. So that felt like, oh, you were just at a casino for 2 days straight. Usually I'm traveling. Each day there's a show I'm traveling. So it kind of feels like you traveled all weekend. It felt like I didn't deserve to feel
You have
tired,
such a
which is
strange relationship with
so strange.
deserving things and wanting things, and if you've earned them.
I know, but I did have a fun night last night. What did we end up watching? We're watching. Oh, that's why I probably felt bad.
yeah, that's probably. Well, we went back and forth between the Stanley Cup and
Yes.
the Dallas Cowboys cheerleader show.
Which you like. I mean, it's not horrible.
No, it's well done.
It is well done.
But there's things about it.
no,
that
there's things about it.
Well, what are you talking about? I feel like there's messaging that seems a little strange.
What's the messaging you don't like?
They have to do this, but somehow culturally they've made it seem like this is very important
It's so
and
not.
crucial to the game and the people of Dallas and then the people of Texas and then
And
even
America.
It's, I mean, maybe I've gone too far with the America.
No, she goes, even in New Jersey, being a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader is everything. And this girl's talking to her friends, and it's like, no, it's not.
But yeah,
Even in like
it's not.
Kuwait and
like even that show
the
Cheer,
Sudan people
that
are-
show Cheer, I loved that show.
I didn't watch it, but yeah.
It's great. It's really it's like a perfectly done docu-reality series with like a good ending and
Yeah.
it's really really good. Stakes and all that fun stuff, and it's like these are these people's lives. And that's when they're like high school age, I think. Maybe it's college. I think it's college.
Okay.
But this is post college, and it's important to these people. And I like
Absolutely.
I-
We all
I
have
love that
things
they're
in our
striving
lives
for
that
things.
feel so important and that we're striving for and that we want. But I do find a problem with this being like the most important thing these women will ever do in their whole lives. But I mean, I guess I can relate to having things like people would be like, the roast doesn't mean anything to anyone, Nikki. And like, you're obsessed with it. But like, ultimately,
But you're not
it doesn't.
obsessed with it.
Okay, that's good.
You
Point.
aren't obsessed with it at all.
Yeah. Okay, good.
People keep bringing it up to you because it was a big like cultural moment.
Yeah.
But you are always deflecting that.
Right, that's a good point. Okay, good. Because I feel bad making fun of these girls making like I guess comedy sometimes people can make it into like everything that is hinging on this moment.
Here's what I love about it though is there are so few these young girls go into cheer and gymnastics and dance, and they work from the time that some of them are like 5-6 years old, and then they go through high school, they do competition, then they go to college and they do competition. And then what's next? Like, these are the opportunities that are next.
Yes.
Some of them could go do tours like with Taylor Swift because they've done dance. And some people can do like the cheer stuff, or then you teach. But these people have worked more than half their lives on these things. And then there's very few opportunities for what's next. And so
scary.
It's nice that there's something.
Yeah. For girls from 24 to 32.
Right.
That have something, but they burn out in 5 years. This documentary is great.
It hurts their body. That's the
It
other
hurts
thing.
their
Is it hurts
bodies
their bodies
so much, and they're doing routines that they know hurt their bodies, but they like won't take this like crazy jumps. You jump and split, and then you land on the ground in a split, and like destroys these girls'
What's it called?
hips. Forget.
Jump split.
Jump. The thing I don't like about this documentary, and I wonder if anyone else watching the show has the same problem, is that the coaches will be assessing these girls. They're all trying to make the team, Brian. So there's like all these girls auditioning, and they have to re-audition every time they make the team for a year, and you have to re-audition for your spot. And it's really
Cold-blooded.
competitive
I don't
and
like that.
ongoing process. And these women that used to be Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders are the coaches, and they're and the judges, and there's a meteorologist that's a judge too.
Well,
that's
that's
a
the
whole
worst
thing.
part to me is there's these women that have been cheering their whole lives and
then-
they're experts. And then there's these
coaches.
choreographers that have been doing this their whole lives. Then there's hair and makeup people. It's like
One
they've
guy's a-
dedicated to their lives to
One
it.
guy, she's reading his bio. She's like, and Mark is a thought influencer. I don't even know what a thought influencer is. He was
Yeah.
like, my publicist just wrote that. He's just like some.
He's a meteorologist.
The judges are ridiculous, and they're talking about this girl's. And what did he say? He goes, her face is just a little too big, and then that girl didn't make it because everyone goes,
damn.
yeah, I see it.
Because a meteorologist didn't like somebody's face. That to me, I was disgusted by that.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
way that he got on the green screen and circled it and said that there is a cold front moving in, that was rude too. But
What I don't like, sorry to hijack this, but I don't like it when people are so desperate to do something that the people that are the gatekeepers can take advantage of them.
Yes, and that
that's what
seems
I
to
kept
be
seeing.
happening.
That's what I kept seeing is all these moments where these girls are dying to do this. And there's people that maybe don't have their best. I have no idea, but you're just like, these are the situations that you hear about later that somebody did something
and they give
untoward.
him a makeover, and they make this girl go brunette, and then they're looking at it later, and they're like, I don't know if I like the brunette. And the girl is like crying because she doesn't want to go brunette because she's been blonde her whole life, but she's going along with it because they've said it's the Tyra Banks thing of America's Next Top Model. We're gonna go, but what I don't like about it is that they'll assess the girl's moves and be like, her kicks just aren't in line with other people's. Her face, she's just trying too much in the face, and then they don't show what they're talking about. And I
Yeah.
want to see evidence
Yes.
of
Yeah, I
this.
agree
And it would
with
be a
that.
very easy thing to show. So producers of that Netflix show, it's a great show otherwise. I love it. I'm compelled. We're 4 episodes in. We are going to finish the 7. Can't wait. And what else? Anything else we can recommend watching that we love?
Oh, all too well.
All Too Well. Oh, Jake Gyllenhaal. Chris keeps calling it All Too Well because that's the song about Jake Gyllenhaal. But it's the Jake Gyllenhaal show, Presumed Innocent. And it's on Apple, and it's so good, except for when they think shows think you're on your phone now, so they repeat the same thing
Yes.
14 times. They assume
That
you're
you're dumb.
taking phone breaks, and so they will tell you things over and over. It's a little bit of a show for people who might be dumb, but it's also for people who are smart too. We can all get on board with this show.
Brian, you watching anything?
Yeah, I mean, I'm watching America's Got Talent season 19
Oh my
or
God!
season 20. I don't even know.
And
what it is.
who's the front runner?
Well, it's still in the auditions right now. But
Anything fun happening?
There's one comedian on it from Africa who's not bad. And then there's some good singers. But yeah, America's Got Talent is kind of degrading a little bit because it feels like they're putting too much emphasis on the backstory and not enough emphasis on the talent.
Right.
Okay.
So it's
Degrading is a good word for even the cheer thing. There is a level of degrading that is going on.
Yeah.
It's hard to watch.
Oh man, but there was this guy, he's a janitor from Indiana who's never even been
I'm
on
in.
a plane before.
Whoa.
And he used to just sing in the hallways of the school, at the middle school, and the kids kept saying, "You're a good singer. You're actually a really good singer." And so his fiance convinced him to go on America's Got Talent, and he is just the most normal looking man you've ever seen in your life. He's like a middle American, pretty overweight, missing teeth, glasses, wearing a cabbie hat, like button-down shirt that you get at a big and tall store. And he's just out there, and he is just the sweetest, most unassuming man. He's really nervous, which right there you're rooting for him because you can tell he's so nervous. And then he proceeds to sing Journey, Don't Stop Believin',
And it's
better than the original.
wow. Okay, we got to watch this.
I mean,
will
he is
watch.
so
Agreed.
good. Now, to be fair, it's kind of like listening to the world's best karaoke
Sure.
rendition, but he doesn't not miss a note, and that, as we all know, is like an impossible song to sing. He does not miss a note, and then he and then they always do this thing where they play with your heartstrings. He finishes the song, and then they like pause for 3 seconds before the audience reacts. So you're like, how are they going to react?
Did they like it too? Yeah.
Yeah. And then everyone stands up, gives them a standing ovation. And why does it work? Why does it work over and over again? Because that guy from Indiana, yes, of course, this is all heavily produced, and the producers know what's going to happen when this guy comes out, and they know what they're doing, pulling our heartstrings. But that guy is real, and he didn't know that he was going to do well. I've had friends that have gone on America's Got Talent thinking they're going to do well, and then they do poorly. He doesn't know he's going to do well. He goes on. The producers don't say like, "Yeah, we're going to kind of present you." Yeah. He goes out and so when they're cheering for him, he's crying. He can't.
Aww.
He truly cannot believe it. And then I don't want to give away what happens unless you want to hear what happens.
Sure. Spoiler alert! Here it comes.
Spoiler alert! He gets the golden buzzer from I forgot who gave him the golden buzzer, but if you don't know the golden buzzer,
I can't believe I know that now.
Each of the judges.
You ruined my week. I don't even know what that is. Okay.
Each of the judges has one opportunity to do the golden buzzer per audition round,
and they all give it to him.
Just one person. There's been times in AGT history where all 4 decided collectively to do the golden buzzer. But like I don't know who gave him the golden buzzer. Like Sofia Vergara gave him the golden buzzer. I think it was Sophia, or maybe it was Heidi Klum. But he gets the golden buzzer, and then he went from disbelief to like catatonic disbelief. He doesn't even know what's happening right now. He's like spinning
really
around
fun.
in circles. And then he says, like, I've never been on a plane before.
Oh,
this was the first time I ever went on a plane. And now I'm here and I got the golden buzzer. And here's the best part. Then he goes backstage with Terry Crews, who is the best host, other than Kevin Hart, who is better at the roast than Terry Crews is at AGT. But Terry Crews is such a good host. He goes back and he calls his fiance on speakerphone. And he tells his fiance, I got the golden buzzer. And she goes, I knew you would. I told you. And that's just, I mean, ultimate support. It was just incredible. I just love, and I was crying. I cry 8 to 10 times an hour.
She's like,
watching
how was the
AGT.
plane? Because they couldn't fly her out. I mean, how could they?
They didn't
not
have
fly
enough
her
money.
out?
They didn't have enough
They
money.
have to
He's
work.
a janitor. Yeah.
But the show could have.
Yeah,
no,
the
I
show,
guess
they're so cheap. We
Yeah,
gotta fly
they really
this gal out.
Other things I'll recommend watching is Jiminy Glick on Jimmy Kimmel and Bill Maher.
my
I just
God.
watched an interview he did with Bill Hader on Jimmy Kimmel. Did you see it? It's so
it's unbelievable.
funny. It's 5.5 minutes of like hilarity.
But it doesn't. It feels like.
It feels like 30 seconds. I know.
'cause
I looked. I was like 5:30.
It's
Did I
so
watch the whole
perfect,
thing?
perfectly done.
Perfect. Jiminy Glick on Jimmy Kimmel Live. It's on Jimmy Kimmel Live right now, and he's a Martin Short's he's a character played by Martin Short in a fat suit, and it's like a older guy in a fat suit. And if you see that, you got to get into Jiminy Glick. I am so jealous of someone who has not heard of Jiminy Glick and gets to go watch all the things of that, because that was insane. And all right, that's it for the show. I'm going to be in Chandler, Arizona this weekend. I don't know exactly where in Arizona that is, but that is going to be Thursday and Friday this week in Chandler, Arizona at
Chandler, it's right between Ross, Rachel, and Phoebe. There we go. Now we're cooking.
Could I have been less specific about where it is? Okay, it's the Gila River Resorts Casino in Chandler, Arizona, and it looks to be near Phoenix, so south of Phoenix. Tucson is also near it, so come on out to the Gila River Resorts Casino this Thursday and Friday, and then I'm off to Dublin to go see Taylor Swift. And that is not an Irish accent.
That was
Dublin,
I think
Australia?
it was Australian. All right, guys. We'll see you
Going to
then.
Dublin to see Taylor Swift.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
That's Scottish.
Oh, God.
I just going to Dublin to see Taylor.
All right, I'm going to go walk Gila Monster, and then we'll come back and do tomorrow's episode. We'll see you then. Don't be cut, and bye.